About 7 years ago, BMW split off the 3 Series coupe and called it a 4 Series back in 2014. Now the 4 Series has always been designed to be the sportier, harder edge version of the 3 Series, just like the old 3 Series coupe was. And for 2021, BMW is introducing an all-new version of the 4 Series. It's based off of the same G20 3 Series platform that we know and like. It has the same choice of engines, either a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder or, like this M440i I'm showing you, a 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder with an electrified powertrain option, and all new styling that's designed to differentiate it, of course, from its 4-door sibling. Now the big question I want to answer, if you guys are wondering, has BMW managed to build the best 4 Series ever, or have they ruined it with this design? Stay tuned to find out. Now there's no denying that BMW has been criticized hard for designing vehicles that always seem to look like the previous generation models. So as you can see, when they first unveiled the Concept 4 in Geneva a couple years ago, a lot of people gasped because they put this massive beaver bucktooth grille on the front of that concept. And as you can see, for the production version, BMW has carried it over, and I have to say, I absolutely hated the way the grille looked in pictures. Now that I'm finally seeing it in person, I will admit that it looks a little bit better, but still, look at this massive nostril at the front fascia. It looks like beaver teeth, and BMW says it's supposed to be designed to kind of better incorporate a European license plate, which would kind of cut the grille into 2 separate pieces. Here in America, obviously, we don't have that style license plate, so the grille constantly stands out to me. So let me know in the comments below if you guys like or hate the design. Personally, for me, it's not my cup of tea, and I think BMW is going to end up doing an emergency refresh on this front end. Now you can see the rest of the front fascia. You can see my tester here has the optional BMW laser light headlight technology. These are full LED headlights. They're swiveling and adaptive. You have automatic high beams, you have LED daytime running lights and LED turn signals. No fog lights, however, on this generation. Instead, you have some of these functional grille openings down here. You can see the grille has active grille shutters here. So some of it, or right now, the grille shutters are closed, and then when that opens to let some more air into the engine, you can see it is a functional grille opening. This particular one that I'm showing you here is the M440i. Like I said, it's painted in this shade of Arctic Race Blue Metallic, and to be honest, I actually liked the name of the color, but when I see it in person, I don't think the color quite matches the name. BMW makes a tanzanite blue, a darker, deeper shade of blue, which is probably what I would go for personally. Now, looking at the rest of the side profile, you can see this one here is the coupe. BMW also offers it as a convertible, which is now a soft top this year. They removed the hard top. And then later next year, they're going to introduce an M440i Grand Coupe, which is a 4-door version of this car, just to make you guys even more confused, because there's also a 3 Series which has 4 doors. Now, at 112 inches long in the wheelbase, this vehicle has the same wheelbase as the new 3 Series. However, at 188 inches long, BMW made this new coupe about 5 inches longer versus the previous generation, and this is about 2 inches longer versus the current 3 Series. So I'm not entirely sure why BMW made it so big. I'm guessing they're trying to give it some of the proportions from the 8 Series. From the side profile, I think that the car actually looks a little too plain. I think the fenders aren't bulging enough, and I think the rest of the profile isn't matching the aggressive front end. Now you can see the wheels. These are an optional wheel. They're a 19-inch design. They're wrapped in 2 25s in the front, fatter 2 55s in the back. You can see this M440i model has the blue painted calipers with the M Sport brakes. I personally think the wheels look okay, but BMW offers several different choices of wheels. I think the wheels actually look a little small from certain angles, and from the body lines, I think that BMW could have made this look a little bit more aggressive. Now here you can see just a standard sunroof. Surprisingly, BMW doesn't offer a pano roof. I think they should have gone with that. And my tester here also has the shadow line package, which means it kind of blacks out the window trim. The side mirrors are also dark painted, and then the front fascia also is a little bit dark painted. Now over at the rear, I think this is probably the better angle of the 4 Series coupe, especially on the M440i. I like this very tasteful, subtle rear lip spoiler. You have these full LED taillights, which kind of mimic, again, the same design that we saw on the 3 Series, although it kind of has the same kind of shape to the front, the headlight system. The rear diffuser under here, you can see on the M440i is a little bit more aggressive. You have these nicely integrated dual exhausts, which are actually just part of an exhaust finisher trim piece. This is, of course, the performance-oriented model, so let's go ahead and fire up the engine, hear how it sounds. Now, as an enthusiast, I've always loved straight 6s, and BMW still does one of the better ones. So go ahead, Rob, fire it up. Yep, that's music to my ears. Just like the 3 Series, it actually sounds pretty good. I'll be curious to drive, of course, the upcoming M3 and M4. Now, opening up the trunk capacity, the 2-door version does have a smaller trunk versus the 4-door, obviously. The opening, I think, actually could have been larger. You have these hinges that kind of intrude a little bit on the cargo space, but BMW says you get around 12 cubic feet of space. That reduces the cargo capacity by about 2.5 cubic feet compared to the sedan. So clearly BMW gave the exterior design of the new 4 Series its own unique look, but what about the interior? Remember, this is based off of the 3 Series G20 platform. This is known internally as the G22. Now this particular one here, in addition to that gorgeous blue color, also has this really nice looking brown orangey leather interior. This is the upgraded full merino leather. And you can see, if you guys like the interior of the 3 Series, this is basically just a carbon copy. Of course, the seats are slightly more aggressively bolstered. They adjust in like 12 different ways. My particular tester here only has 3-level heated seats with a 2-person memory on the driver's side. If you want ventilated seats, you can't get this beautiful orangey brown color. You have to downgrade to a black interior, as they only offer ventilated seats as an a la carte option on a black interior version, which is truly annoying to me. You can see the door, obviously much larger. It looks really nice with the real aluminum trim, the nice orange contrast. Leather, of course, the orange brown leather, the Harman Kardon stereo that my tester has for $875. When I shut the door actually doesn't sound quite as solid as the last 3 Series that I drove. Remember, these doors are significantly larger and they're also much heavier versus the 3 Series. When you look at the key fob for the vehicle, here's BMW's smart key access system with intelligence. You also can use a digital key, which is a little key card, which obviously I don't have that key card with me, but this is the current BMW key fob that you all know and like. BMW puts the start-stop button over here. As you guys saw, there's a little arm here that pulls out to give me my seatbelt. When I open the door, the arm goes away. When I close the door, the arm comes out to give me my seatbelt, which is definitely a nice touch for a coupe. When you start the vehicle up, it doesn't have a traditional starter noise because remember, this has a 48-volt mild hybrid system, so it kind of starts up the same way that a hybrid vehicle would, where the engine just kind of purrs to life. There's no traditional starter noise. Now, as you can see in the gauge display, this is the 12.3-inch live cockpit professional instrument panel, which does allow you to sort of customize it. I could take away that GPS screen there. If I push the sport button here, you can see the gauge display changes. It gives me a tachometer instead of that weird power consumption thing, which I imagine most people will prefer the tach. Very, very sweet sounding inline 6. You gotta love a BMW straight 6. So I'll be looking forward to getting this thing out on the road and driving it, obviously. Now, looking at the interior materials, let's talk about that. This one here, as I mentioned, has the full merino upgraded leather for $1,500, which basically gives you extra leather on the doors, on the dashboard. You can see they've got some stitching here with that leatherette material on the dash. The same thing extends onto the door panels, although the leather could feel nicer. It's just not very soft. Also, the stitching doesn't look very genuine, but I want to say that it is because I paid extra for it. Over here, this looks a little bit more convincing. The Harman Kardon stereo for $875 actually isn't that impressive, but it is a fairly reasonable price. But if you guys are looking for like the Bowers and Wilkins stereo, BMW doesn't offer it on the 4 Series. Instead, you have to go up to the higher end BMWs. I do like the interior lighting in here. You can kind of change the color to the interior lighting in the actual vehicle settings. The dashboard here has a soft touch injection molded plastic. This is the aluminum trim. You can also get wood or different textured aluminum. The aluminum that you see here is also genuine. The steering wheel is the typical BMW M Sport steering wheel. It's a nice looking wheel. It's got plastic paddles on the wheel. And then the steering wheel itself is surprisingly manual tilt telescoping. I was expecting it to be power at this price tag. You do have, like I said, a heated wheel, which is nice, but if you guys are looking for cooled seats, my tester only has 3-level heated seats, which is frustrating for this price point. It should have cooled seats as well. Now, in terms of the infotainment, this is pretty much the same stuff that we showed you in the 3 Series BMW. It's their iDrive 7.0. You have a 12.3-inch screen here and a 10.3-inch screen over here. The standard setup is, I believe, a 5-inch display here and an 8.8-inch display here. So you definitely want to go for the upgraded system that my tester has. It also includes wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You can see the CarPlay takes up the entire screen. This is a touch screen, of course, or you can use the little iDrive controller here if you'd like. Most people will probably use the touchscreen because it's in a really good location. It also has their gesture control, so I can turn the volume up and down like that. I can also skip tracks. I can mute when I do that. It's actually gotten much more responsive over the years, so I'm pretty impressed with BMW's system here. You can see going into the car display, this is where you can adjust all your different settings and whatnot. A lot of you will probably end up going into the driving information. You can pull up your sport displays, or you can go into your actual settings here. You can change your drive mode settings. You can change your interior lighting, your driver assistance. All the graphics look fantastic. I really like the way this is set up. iDrive is still, again, one of the best systems in the industry, which is great because they used to be crap back when it first came out. You can see there's the BMW GPS system. It's not fantastic. You can see you can put it into like a 3D view mode if you'd like. You can also kind of zoom out and zoom in. You can pinch, swipe, zoom. It's a tablet style display. It doesn't look as good as Audi's Google Earth, obviously, but I do applaud BMW for continuing to improve the system, which is of course always nice. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see backup camera, which is nice. I've got front and rear parking sensors, but my tester is missing the full top-down 360 view and the automatic parallel parking and reverse backup assist because I don't have that $700 parking assist package. You can see it has trajectory, distance markers, very good camera quality resolution. So I wish it kind of took up the whole screen, but if I had the full 360 camera, it would show me a top-down view right there instead of just the parking sensors, which would have been nice. You can see a few hard buttons over here for your dual zone climate control. I like this little screen here. This turns on and off your driver assistance, where you can kind of turn all of it on, or you can individually configure it, which is always nice. You've got a wireless phone charger here, which perfectly fits my iPhone 12 Pro Max. Just barely fits it, which is nice. You got two cup holders here. No heated and cooled cup holders like you find in some of the more expensive BMWs. This shifter controls the 8-speed automatic. You also have your stability control off. You have your drive mode selector, of course, engine start stop. You have electronic parking brake over here. And then some of the plastic here could feel a little bit more expensive. The aluminum trim does look nice. You can see there's a padded center console here. Pretty good amount of storage. There's a USB-C in there. There's another USB-A over there. And then above me, just a standard sunroof. BMW doesn't offer a pano roof on the 4 Series, which it would have been nice if they did offer that. The seats, the full merino leather seats also could be a little softer. They have, you can see the thigh extender on both front sides of the seats. And then over here, you can see the glove box is damped, lined with felt. It's a little bit small, but overall the interior is about what I expected. I wish BMW made it a little bit more distinctive, like the exterior versus the 3 Series, but I think a lot of you are going to find most of the tech, including a heads-up display, that you want in today's, modern day of cars. So as you guys know, coupe sales here in America are slowly dying off, so I'm surprised to see that BMW has a new 2-door available. Now, I did mention this is 5 inches longer than the previous generation, and BMW essentially added more space into the back seat. Now, as you can see, when I fold the seat forward, the power seat mechanism does move it forward for you automatically. And at 5'7", let me get back here and show you guys the space. BMW says you get around 34.5 inches of legroom back here. Trying to actually get yourself into the seat is a little bit of a challenge because of this fairly large hump here that intrudes. This is a 4-seater coupe because there is no belt here for the middle passenger, and you wouldn't want to sit here anyways. In terms of features, surprisingly, there are rear seat air vents. You have 2 USB-C charging ports. There's actually your own set of climate controls back here, so it has a 3-zone climate control system. And BMW says you get around 34.5 inches of legroom, which is actually not bad. Once I'm finally sitting back here, my head is kind of almost brushing the ceiling, but I could actually get comfortable back here. There is some decent materials. This is actually soft touch with more leather stitching back here, which is nice. There's even an armrest here that folds down, gives you 2 cup holders. So they did a good job in making the back seat more usable, but for those of you who need actual space with more headroom, I'd recommend just waiting for the Grand Coupe version or just buying a 3 Series. Now, I know there's an M badge on this M440i, however, you should know that this is not a full-on M version. Instead, the M440i means that you have a 3-liter turbocharged straight 6-cylinder engine. This is part of the B58 engine family. Of course, this engine is similar to the one that I showed you in an M340i. The difference here is this is the first application of a 48-volt mild hybrid system onto this straight 6, which the M340i does not have. BMW says that mild hybrid system adds 11 horsepower of added boost whenever you guys are accelerating very hard in this vehicle, so we'll talk about that later in the test drive. The numbers are actually the same. It still makes 382 horsepower, which, as you guys know, with German cars is probably very underrated, and the torque figure is 369 pound-feet. Your only transmission option is an 8-speed ZF automatic. No manual transmission is available anymore for this new generation, and for the M440i Coupe, BMW only offers it in America with their xDrive all-wheel drive system. You cannot get a rear drive M440i here in the States as a coupe. The convertible, surprisingly, will offer rear or all-wheel drive. If you guys want a little bit less performance, you can also get the 430i, which has a 2-liter turbo 4, which offers around 255 horsepower. The M4, which will be coming out next year, will offer either 473 or 503 horsepower. Now, BMW says in this model here, you'll get to 60 in around 4.3 seconds. It'll reach a top speed of 155 miles an hour. And fuel economy is not bad. It's rated at 22 in the city, 31 on the highway, which is a 1 mpg improvement over the 3 Series sedan, probably because of the hybrid system. As this one sits, it's gotten heavier this year. It weighs just under 4,000 pounds. So the BMW 4 Series is only in its second generation, but this is still just a 2-door version of the 3 Series, which also is known internally as the G20. I drove that car last year, so this should essentially be that same car with, of course, a wider track, a lower body. It's a little bit longer, so this is supposed to be the more sport-oriented model. However, BMW also tends to make their cars a little bit more refined every year. So this is the M440i. It's a step below the actual M4 model, which I'll be driving later next year. This has almost 400 horsepower. It comes standard with all-wheel drive. I have it in Sport Plus right now. Let's go ahead and see how it does. Now, typical BMW, the straight 6 engine in this is near perfection. It's now, of course, been electrified with a 48-volt mild hybrid system, which does help it with lag. It helps to mitigate the lag even more. It does offer a launch control mode, so I'm in Sport Plus right now. Wow. BMW says this, or with launch control, it'll get to 60 in 4.3 seconds, which definitely sounds conservative. I've seen Car and Driver get as quick as 3.8 seconds, so this is basically as quick as the previous generation M3 and M4. You can credit that, of course, to the all-wheel drive system. You can credit the quick shifting 8-speed automatic. You can credit, of course, that smooth and silky turbocharged straight 6 with that new electrified powertrain, which is just fantastic. Nice sound. Just smooth, turbine smooth, effortless power. And there's one criticism I will add. Where are the crackles and the pops? I have the sound now in its louder sport setting. And typically, the last M340i I drove, when you downshift it, had some crackles and pops. And this one, for some reason, doesn't have that anymore. And I'm very much missing those crackles and pops, so shame on you, BMW, for taking that away. You've really made this new 4 Series super refined, which is nice. I'm just not entirely sure if they should have done that. I think they should have made this a little bit more raw, a little bit more performance-oriented. It's still a fun car to drive, but there's something about it now that feels a little bit too Grand Touring-like. Wow, plenty of acceleration. This will easily keep pace with like a Tesla Model 3 dual motor non-performance, which does 0 to 60 in about 4.2 seconds, although the petrol powered car still will probably get pushed behind, especially when you start accounting for the instantaneous torque you get with electric cars. But let's talk about the handling, because BMWs have always been known as the ultimate driving machine. And how does this new one stack up? Well, unlike the previous F body style, the steering in the G series, the G body style, this is now known internally as the G22, has been markedly improved. It's still a little light if you're a purist BMW guy or girl, but it has been improved markedly. The heft is much better. The tires, the front tires, are talking to you a little bit through the wheel. The steering itself is very quick ratio. The suspension, this one here has the adaptive variable suspension, so it gives you a really controlled, comfortable ride quality, yet you also get a nice flat suspension. So going into corners, there's very little, body lean. However, you do feel this new BMW's weight. This car is, like I said earlier, over 5 inches longer, which I don't think BMW needed to make it that much bigger, and it weighs in around 3,900 pounds. So this is a couple hundred pounds heavier than the previous generation, which you're gonna feel again out on those back roads, out on the track. This is still a very, balanced car. It's got about 53% of the weight at the front of the vehicle, but it just no longer feels like the kind of raw-edged, rear drive BMW that we expect. It's still rear drive, obviously. However, you just get a sense that BMW is trying to make this car more refined, which is fine, especially in today's modern age with a lot of these computers controlling cars and whatnot. But I think some enthusiasts might be a tad disappointed. Very impressive power. I have no complaints about the engine nor the gearbox, although I wish that BMW still continued to offer a manual transmission. But this is one really nice driving sport coupe. I mean, the 3 Series sedan is already great, so it doesn't surprise me at all that the 4 Series coupe is just as good. And it gets me super excited to drive the M4, of course, and the M3 whenever those come out. And she's all-wheel drive, but she will let the back step out a little bit if you guys go a little too frisky with the throttle or you go in a little hard. It's a really fun car, but let me try the launch control one more time. Put it in sport traction mode. Foot hard on the brake for the accelerator. Yeah. Wow, I could never get tired of that. That is still a really fast car that will put a huge smile on your face. And it really makes you question the need to buy an M version. I mean, you can't even get all-wheel drive on the M-ified car just yet. But BMW says it is coming. The M4, they're saying 0 to 60 is 3.8 seconds, the competition model, which is not that much faster than this. That's if you can put the power down, because remember, that one is rear drive. So the 4 Series in total is still a really great driving BMW Sport Coupe. I'd probably be more interested in driving the Grand Coupe version or just get a 3 Series. In terms of the normal driving experience here, let's put it into comfort real quick. In comfort mode, the exhaust gets quieter, the engine piping in fake noise also gets quieter. And you kind of get a sense again that this is still a luxury coupe, although coupes are a dying breed. In terms of driver assistance, my tester has the Driver Assistance Pro package, so it's got the lane keep assist, it's got the active lane change assist, adaptive cruise control with full stop and go, which is nice, automatic emergency braking, pedestrian detection, steering assist, all that stuff is included, but you have to pay $1,700 extra for it. In terms of the seats, I also like the seats. I think they're very comfortable and supportive. I like how they also grip and hold you in place. And in terms of the fuel economy, I've had this vehicle for about a week, and it's rated at 22 in the city, 31 on the highway. Premium gas, of course, is going to be recommended or required. In my weeks for the testing, I got 22 mpg in my city's driving, and then on the highway, I easily beat the 31. I got 32, 33 mpg. BMWs have always been very efficient, especially now with that 48-volt hybrid system, which is a mild hybrid system. So again, there's still plenty to like about this car. I wonder if people are willing to pay the money for it, because electrification is still very much what everybody is going after. Teslas have pretty much ruined that for BMW, so there is going to be an electrified version or electric version of this car called the i4, and that's probably one that I'm more excited to drive. But if you want a more traditional driving sport coupe or convertible, the 4 Series is definitely still going to put a smile on your face. Just remember, this ain't cheap. So now that we're looking at the new 4 Series from its best angle, let's sum up this new Sport Coupe and try to figure out where it fits in the marketplace. Now, if you guys like the current 3 Series, the G20, this G22 Series 4 Series is going to basically be everything that you like about the 3 Series. However, BMW has delivered it in a package that stands out. I'm not entirely sure that it stands out in a good way, but regardless, in my weeks for the testing, I had a lot of people doing a double take on this car and staring at the front fascia. I'm not sure, again, if they loved it or they hate it. Personally, after a week, I thought I would learn to love the styling. I actually think that BMW is probably going to do an emergency refresh, because that front end is just too much for me. I need to see the car in a different color. I need to see the convertible. Hopefully the Grand Coupe version will be even prettier. Thankfully, if you guys can get past that horrible botched nose job, the car itself is still great. It has a wonderful straight 6 with an electrified 48-volt mild hybrid system. It's still very quick, 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds, smooth 8-speed auto, confident xDrive all-wheel drive system. comfortable interior, loads of tech. The interior itself, I wish BMW had made it a little bit more unique versus a 3 Series, but you can argue, of course, with the technology, the design. The materials are fine. Really where the 4 Series kind of falls flat for me is when I look at the pricing. Typical BMW fashion, this car is pretty expensive. If you guys are looking to buy just the base 430i, it's gonna start at around $45,600. That's $4,000 more expensive versus a 3 Series. Now I'd argue the 4 Series is more unique. This M440i version will start at $58,500. Again, that's $4,000 more than the 3 Series. My particular tester here with the executive package, the premium package, the upgraded wheels, the color, stickers for an eye-watering 70 grand. 70 grand for something like this? That's right around a BMW M4 money, which is shocking to me. However, when you look at the performance, this car in general accelerates nearly as quick as an M4 because the M4 continues to be rear-wheel drive. Remember, this comes standard with all-wheel drive. So my recommendation, if you guys really like a coupe, which is kind of a dying breed, this is still a very good option. If you guys want a 4-door, but you want something a little bit more unique, I'd probably wait for the Grand Coupe version, which we should be seeing sometime next year. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2021 BMW M440i. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.